And
What
one of
would
the
you
best things,
say like financial apartheid is for someone who doesn't get the reference?
it's basically walls that are put up to keep people segregated, right? This is your place, you live here. This is, the poor or black or whatever section you want to call it. And this is our section. Your money is not as good as our money. I'll give you some examples. If you are in Nigeria and you have a bank account and you have a debit card, bank card, a lot of these Nigerian banks will limit you to $100 a month you can spend online maximum with that card, even if you have thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank. You can't even, buy an Xbox. This is a small example. In Africa, it's difficult just to send money to the country next door, right, to using the banking system there. They use a broken down version of the SWIFT system. It's easier to actually take the money in a suitcase and move it on a plane than it is to use the banking system. There's 2,000 payment networks in Africa. Only 3% of them talk to each other. But the financial apartheid really becomes apparent when you look outside of the country. For example, if you are a merchant in Africa and you want to sell some stuff like video games, electronics, iPhone cases, whatever it might be, they don't make that stuff in Africa. So you have to buy it from China, which is cool, but how do you pay for it? African bank accounts, nearly impossible to send money to China or places like that. What a lot of people have to do, a lot of merchants in Africa will do, like especially places like Nigeria or even Ghana, they will have to buy USD on the black market, take a 20% loss, find a way to get that USD to an American or European bank account that'll somehow let them allow them to get it to Hong Kong, and then from there they can make the payment to someone in Shenzhen. Or they can get onto Paxful, sell some Bitcoin for WeChat Pay, and boom, invoice is paid in an instant. I'll give you
So
guys some more examples of financial apartheid. I think it's useful so everyone understands how deeply ingrained the problem is. There are 14 countries in Africa that are still controlled by the French. So the African franc, right, it's in 14 countries, and it's about as African as the Federal Reserve is federal. It's a complete scam. They are printed in Paris. They are sold to these African economies at cost. And even worse, through that system, Paris can control the volume of money in circulation. So they can actually impose almost complete financial control over these 14 economies in Africa. This wasn't 50 years ago. This is right now. And this is the world that Africans have to deal with. So when people ask me, why is it that Africa can't get it together? They have all those natural resources and all that money. They should all be rich. I tell them, well, imagine if it was nearly impossible to send money from New York to New Jersey, and New Jersey was still under the control of the British. How advanced would the United States be? And that's the situation that Africa is in right now. And I call it financial apartheid. Maybe there's a better word, but I think that does the job.
well, it definitely feels like oppression and not fair. They don't have access to a sound form of money. And a lot of people in the blockchain space, in the crypto space, in the stablecoin space, they will say that Bitcoin is not good to be used by merchants and people in developing nations or just people in general as money because it's so volatile. So they're working so hard to try to lower the fees of these coins and provide a unit that these people can own in their wallets, just bank with the USD or some stable coin. But even though maybe let's just suspend like the maximalist sort of thought there about what makes a cryptocurrency valuable and what properties are valuable. Let's just say that, okay, for sure, a digital dollar is less volatile than a Bitcoin right now. But regardless, isn't it true that people are using Bitcoin anyways? They just choose to use Bitcoin more than any other cryptocurrency for these remittances and peer-to-peer payments overseas?
Yes, it is true. It is true. And Paxful has played a large role in that. We've chosen to support solely Bitcoin for a very, very long time because we truly believe in Bitcoin. I don't call myself a maximalist, but I do believe I'm a Bitcoin optimalist. I believe we need to put as much momentum and energy behind one clearing layer as possible. I'm certainly not a big fan of the USD being the only choice. Although I will admit, that Tether does have a lot of the benefits of cryptocurrency without any of the negativity of volatility, etc. And that is useful, and that's why we support it, because our users ask for it. That being said, Bitcoin still keeps a very close place to our hearts, and we believe that Bitcoin Bitcoin will eventually come out on top going into the future. I don't know if it's going to be the winner 20 years from now, but within the next 5 years, we're going to see a world of immense turmoil. We're going to see a world where the currency wars are going to go into high gear. And we're going to begin entering a world where the USD might not be the most stable currency in the world anymore. And I think Bitcoin will be a safe haven in more ways than people can imagine. And the great news is the people of Africa are ahead of the game. 4 years ago, when we went into Africa and I started saying Africa is going to lead global cryptocurrency adoption with Bitcoin. And everyone laughed. They said Africans are not going to figure Bitcoin out. They only make $2 a day, all this nonsense. Fast forward now, Africa is already leading in
Awesome.
number of Google searches, in sheer number of transactions. It's already happening. And there's a reason for it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Like I was started to feel in the summer that maybe that these other coins were going to potentially win the remittances use case because you start to see how much Tether is growing and how much USDC is growing. But what it turns out, it feels like to me anyways, and that's why one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on and talk to you about it, because it felt like to me that after looking at the number of users and the data that I was looking from DeFi and DeFi Pulse, which shows like how many users there are, which are the dominant assets on Ethereum that are being used. It's stable coins and it's Bitcoin. It's not ETH and it's not other cryptocurrencies. It's someone else's dollars, which stable coins are. It's just dollars in Circle's bank or Tether's bank, and then you get a digital receipt for it on your in your blockchain wallet. So you can use it, but it's not yours. So it doesn't have the sovereignty properties that if they try to executive order 6102, put that out again, it doesn't matter if you have the private keys to someone else's dollars in a bank somewhere. You're not, they can seize it. And Bitcoin seems to be, from what I saw with Paxful's data and from Abra and local Bitcoins and BISC and HODL and like all of these peer-to-peer, even BitPay, all of these payment processors, peer-to-peer places, yeah, they all show that Tether's increasing, but not like it's increasing in DeFi. And it seems that like 90% of the volume is still Bitcoin, whether it's merchants, whether it's peer-to-peer, and the Tether and the USDC, most of the volume is actually just rich whales and VCs and crypto traders just trying to do like Ponzi trading or yield farming or whatever in this bubble. And it doesn't seem like it's actual people like impacting people's lives. Like what you're doing is impacting people's lives. They're using Bitcoin. Can you talk to like what percentages your users are using Bitcoin versus stable coins, and like maybe where stable coins are more used or where Bitcoin is the most used and things like that? I'm just kind of really curious about the demographics of Paxful's users and what parts of the world are using Bitcoin more and like what are they using it for, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So previously to adding Tether, 100% of our users were using Bitcoin, and it's still overwhelmingly Bitcoin right now. The question is, who are our users? Well, our biggest market is Nigeria. Second biggest is America, and then the rest is India and the rest of Africa and the emerging world, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa. So really, we have pioneered actually making Bitcoin a reality in the emerging world, which was extremely difficult because there are immense challenges, especially in peer-to-peer in the emerging world. Fraud being one of the biggest challenges. Proper KYC. Paxful has really worked hard to innovate proper KYC and to really take compliance to another level, to make things safe for people. Happy to report that after 2 years of really extensive work on compliance in peer-to-peer, leading the way, that we're the safest peer-to-peer marketplace. We're even safer than the conventional exchanges when you look at the numbers. But the real gem here is how people are using Bitcoin on Paxful. It is not for speculation, and it is not for gray use cases. It is for real use cases, meaning for remittances, for payments, for commerce, and for wealth preservation. They are actually using it that way. They're not just using it to invest it. And the reason I know that is because I've actually talked to these people. I actually go and I meet these people. Last year, we went to South Africa and Kenya, and we did a university tour at 8 different universities. We went to a university and we gave away 1 Bitcoin at each university.
Oh, awesome.
Split up amongst all the students, of course, not 1 Bitcoin to each student. And we learned quite a few things. Number one, the first time I got up on stage and I said, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to talk to you about Bitcoin today," everyone's eyes rolled. And the reason that happened is because when you say Bitcoin in Africa, everyone immediately thinks scam.
Yeah, they think Cardano or OneCoin or something like that.
Exactly. Cardano, OneCoin, multi-level MLM scams that have come from the outside, even crypto mining, which always turns out to be a scam. People lose money. Even day trading, 99.9% of people lose money there. So everyone that you talk to has really lost money or knows someone that has lost money using crypto. And that's because people come to them and say, hey, invest in this. But I said, okay, hold on, guys. I understand you've been through this. But I'm not here to talk to you about a method of investment. I'm talking to you about a means of exchange, how you can use Bitcoin to access every financial network on the planet and to put you on equal or better footing than those folks living in Europe and America. And even better, you can actually exploit the magic of arbitrage to start your own business because the price of Bitcoin is different in other places. If you can get Bitcoin cheaply in Europe, right, through maybe a family member that lives in Berlin, you can have them send it to you and you can sell that Bitcoin in Nairobi for plus 10%, or a place like Malawi for plus 40%. When we went to Nigeria 4 years ago, the price of Bitcoin was 40 to 50% above market because there was no Bitcoin in the country, and it's extremely difficult to get Bitcoin out of Nigeria. There's whole companies that specialize in getting Bitcoin out of places like Nigeria or other places in Africa. Egypt is even worse. In Egypt, it's a prison, literally, for money. Places like Ethiopia, like impossible to get the local money out of the country. It is illegal to do so. So you find, and that's again another example of financial apartheid. The money is stuck in those places.
Do you operate in Libya?
No, we don't
No.
operate in Libya. We had to pull out of Venezuela as well because we went on the OFAC blacklist. Same thing with Iran. We don't operate there. We're a fully compliant organization. We have to be. We're an American company. So, my heart goes out to the people of those countries. I hope does appear a solution for them. And then Bitcoin is always there for them as a solution by itself, as an independent clearing layer, as a network, which is great. But Paxful cannot be involved in those countries.
Do you follow personally what's going on with the Bitcoin scene in those countries that are kind of facing these financial regulations, like the sanctions and everything?
Yeah. Here at Paxful, it's like being in the Justice League headquarters, with that big map on the screen, and then the red blip goes off. Oh, my goodness. Huge deflationary crisis in Lebanon. Someone sucked $30 billion out of the economy, and now the banks won't let anyone out. People are starving. What do we do? Like that happens Argentina, Turkey. These things happen all over the world. And when these things happen, we start to mobilize and say, okay, how can we help these people? We have 3 values at Paxful. And our number 1 value is to stay connected to the streets, meaning we actually have to understand what real people are going through. And that's something that people in crypto really don't do very well. A lot of super smart people here, but they don't really think talking or understanding the user on the street is important. But for us here, it's vital.
What are your other values?
Our second value is to build for people, meaning we build real products for real people. We're very product-based. Paxful is not an abstract thing. It's a tool that real humans use. It's not just another tool for robots. And, be a hero. That's our third value. That's us mobilizing to actually make a difference when it's needed. And we're also building schools and wells. We have a mission to build 100 schools and wells in Africa. We just built our 4th school in Nigeria. We just completed our 4th well as well. It's about 250,000 liters, and it provides clean, fresh drinking water for over, I think it's going to provide drinking water for over 2 million people now as well. So we're always, we're trying to be heroic here, but it's a team effort. Essentially, Paxful's mission at the end of the day is we're just trying to create wealth for people.
That's awesome. That's very commendable. I love those 3 values. And you definitely seem like you're living the values, being there and trying to go visit the countries and talk to the people and build the schools and do your philanthropic efforts and evangelize Bitcoin rather than get sucked into the crypto rabbit hole. So